Hey there. Hey there, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. January 17th, Saturday, noon Eastern Standard Time here in Keene, New Hampshire. And it's snowy out there. It's really very pretty and very appropriate for this time of year. I just absolutely love it. You have to do a little cleaning off your car kind of thing. I don't have to, not responsible for the shoveling where I live or the plowing or any of that. So I'm tickled about that, but I love this ambiance we have. I hope if you're in this area, you're enjoying it too. And I know some of you are in California, so that's not happening, I don't think. But welcome, everybody. I've been doing a series on, well, I guess I'll introduce myself first. Rebecca Montrone. I have a business here in Keene, New Hampshire called Wondrous. I am a holistic healthcare practitioner with a degree in holistic nutrition. I'm also an herbalist. So I meet with people in private consultation regarding all manner of health issues, from diabetes to cancer to heart problems. And you know what I mean, in my capacity as a holistic healthcare practitioner. And I'm also an herbalist with my father had a strong background in his family in compound pharmacy. So I kind of got that bug. I love to work with figuring out what would work and making a medicine for something and using botanicals for that. So I'm an herbalist as well. So we have a practice here in a local brick and mortar practice, if you will, physical practice here in Keene, New Hampshire. I see people in my office in consultation, but I also have a lot of clients around out of the area, and it's very easy to do this way or by phone, but usually people love this, Zooming. And what else do I want to say? We have a couple of websites. So I'm all about education. I am all about, my passion is about sharing the information I learn about stuff so people can be informed and run with it and, not be dependent on me, but enjoy learning and taking care of themselves. So that's just like such a delight for me. So I love doing these programs on Saturday. I love preparing them. I love meeting with you guys and getting them up on YouTube and Rumble and all of that. And then, so there's wondrousroots.org, and wondrousroots.org is where you'll find a lot of information. I keep adding more to my informational things. So that's basically what you'll find there. I do have some, of my wellness tools are products that you can purchase there, but they're not the store. So the store where we have all the products we make, all the herbal products we make, plus a very good line of nutritional supplements that I typically use with a lot of my clients and then are available to the general public. You'll find those here at Wondrous Roots, and you'll find them on shopwondrousroots.com. The number here is 603-439-2603. Our office hours are 9:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. And you can reach out to me via either website. Contact us comes to my private email. And I am the one who sees those messages and responds. I will say, I can't be the Dear Abby of natural health. So I'm getting a lot of people, my husband has this problem. What do you recommend? I'm happy to help you when I have time and as I have time, but I just want you to know I can't just drop what I'm doing and answer email inquiries about health problems. But I do that. I just can't always get to them right away. And I'm sure you understand about that. And let me just see here. Okay, now to participate, before I get going and sharing my screen, you can hit raise your hand, like Joe will do if he wants to participate, and we'll call on him and we can all hear him, maybe even see him. Otherwise, the rest of you generally tend to rather type in the chat or the Q&A or whatever, but you can do whatever. That's all there. And I will keep my eye to see if you're doing that. Now, what else did I want to say? Oh, yeah. So last year, I kept wanting to get into a series on the five senses. So not necessarily just the five senses, but the body parts that go with the senses. So the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, the touch, right? Tongue, taste, And I kept getting involved with other things that interested me, like plasmalogens. And then I got going on the lymphatic system and hair and bones. Different things come up with different people. And then I'll say, oh, I'd like to do a program on that. So I do. But now I'm in this series. Doesn't mean the series won't get interrupted, because it might, because that's a lot of ground to cover. When you consider this is my third program on the eyes, and we're doing the 5 senses, that's like 15 programs if I do that with every single one. Probably not, but who knows? I just have to go, where I feel like I'm being informative enough without boring you to death. Today, on the eyes, the first one we started out was structure and function, like the anatomy. What do the different key parts of the eye do? How do they interrelate? How does the eye relate to the rest of the body? Then last week I talked about some specific eye issues that are very perplexingly concerning to a lot of people today, like cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma. Those things are huge, and they kind of seem to be something that go with aging eyes. So I went through those. At that time, I was going to go into things that we can do to improve and protect and support the health of our eyes. And I realized that that was going to be impossible to piggyback on anything. And that is the truth, because I finally put that one together. I did that last weekend and through the week, and that's up to nearly 90 slides. So we got to get going on that. But that's the part we want to talk about, right? So first we want to understand what goes wrong with the eyes, not just these, carrots are good for the eyes. Vitamin A is good for the eyes. Well, if we don't know anything about the eyes, that's just so vague. It's not very motivating. We're like, oh my gosh, if I don't take care of this glycation, my retina, I'm going to have macular degeneration. I might have drusen, that problem in my eyes. I don't want to have glaucoma. What can I do? And like I said, the cool thing is that the things that we do for the health of the eyes are basically the same things we do for the health of the rest of the body. Anti-aging. They're there's so much overlap that if you're doing something for your eyes, you're doing something for your heart. You're doing something for your your skin, your brain. You're doing something for everything, because some of the things that bother our different areas of health are the same destructive processes, if you will. Glycation, inflammation, oxidation. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to bring up that presentation. Share my screen. Whoops, I don't want to do that. What do I want to do? Share my screen. Okay, bear with me for a second. Stop. Let's not share yet. Okay. Let me get my presentation up. Okay, now share my screen. Aha, there we go. So, all right, the eyes, much more than vision. So part 3, keeping the eyes healthy, supporting biology that sustains vision. Okay, move my chat there. Get you guys over here so I can see you. Okay, everything's in place. Keeping the eyes healthy. The eyes don't fail in isolation. Again, that's the whole point. Vision reflects the health of the same systems that sustain the brain, the nerves, the blood vessels. Supporting eye health means supporting energy production, mitochondrial energy. I am the mitochondriac. Circulation, antioxidant defense, and structural integrity throughout the body. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each of those, because I'm spending a lot of time on each of those as we go forward. Lifestyle and dietary foundations. Because no nutrient works in a hostile environment. So in other words, we can't just take supplements. we got to take care of our health. And that's diet, that's lifestyle, making sure that we're getting exercise and we're sleeping well and all of that kind of thing. So we don't, it's like somebody once told her sister who said it was too expensive to eat healthfully, but she took a bunch of supplements, and her sister said that's like putting a cherry on a pile of you know what. So you can't just live however you want recklessly and then take all these supplements. But the thing is this, people who are taking, generally putting the time, the effort, and the money into taking nutritional supplements are health conscious in the first place, like all of you guys. You're already doing that, or you wouldn't even be here on this call with me. So I'm preaching to the choir, but we have to lay that foundation. So I assume when we're talking dietary supplements, et cetera, that we're talking about already paying attention to your diet, already paying attention to your other health habits like sleep and exercise and that kind of thing. And the only reason I have this here is I have so many slides that reflect diet. And there are other things that do. So this one is kind of talking about EMF exposure, not EMF, but blue light exposure, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, what happens in our lifestyles that can really undermine eye health? Refined sugar, glycation of lens proteins, and oxidative stress caused by sugar in the diet. Trans fats and processed seed oils, same kind of thing, not necessarily glycation, but causing oxidation of those oils in the body, which is very inflammatory. It's like thinking of these oils going rancid, rotting inside your body, and can affect tear film instability, because the tear film is largely, it has a lipid layer to it. Ultra processed foods, we talked about that in the Stop Eating Crap series. Micronutrient depletion, inflammation, chronic blue light, and poor sleep adds to mitochondrial stress, melatonin suppression. So what damages the eye? Damages every high energy tissue. What do I mean by a high energy tissue? I'm talking about tissues that require a lot of cellular energy, mitochondrial energy. And mitochondrial energy, again, begins to decline around age 30 naturally. So we have to pay attention to that. But when we pay attention to it for the rest of our systems, it's also helping with our eyes at the same time. So eye protective foods are whole food diet. Deep green leafy vegetables contain carotenoids and magnesium. Brightly colored berries, polyphenols. Fatty fish and quality fats, membranes and inflammation control. Herbs and spices, you can use different herbs and spices that are very excellent with antioxidants and polyphenols, we would call them, for eye health. So they're human foods. They're good for all of our health, not just eye foods, but they do overlap and very important for the eyes. The best foods for healthy eyes: eggs, fish, almonds, avocado, broccoli, blueberry, spinach, carrot, citrus, cottage cheese, garlic, beans. Now, did you wonder about these? Cottage cheese, because it didn't say dairy, right? It said cottage cheese. And garlic. So I have a slide on that because that's really cool. I knew what it was. It's sulfur, but I wanted to show you. Do you wonder about cottage cheese and garlic? They're included not because they're eye foods in the traditional sense, but because they're rich in sulfur-containing compounds. Sulfur is essential for collagen structure and flexibility, glutathione production, a key antioxidant in eye tissues, glutathione, the miracle molecule, connective tissue integrity throughout the eye. That is super important. Sulfur, we'll talk later about the MSM eye drops, right? But that's what MSM is, organic sulfur. And bathing your eyes in organic sulfur is really a wonderful thing to do. But taking MSM powder internally is valuable, as well as are eating high sulfur foods. And doesn't it surprise you that cottage cheese is high in sulfur? Like, I'm not sure why that is. Why is that? Like, why would you think cottage cheese versus a glass of milk? I don't know. Something I should have looked into. Maybe I'll look into it and throw that tidbit out in the announcement when the video's up. Carotenoids. So there are different anoids, right? Or there's different antioxidants, right? So we have carotenoids. The lycopenes are also carotenoids. Flavonoids come more from like your berries and stuff like that. The lutein and zeaxanthin. These are all antioxidants that are super important for all over health, but very important for the eyes. That's why you'll see a lot of supplements for the eyes, right? With lutein, zeaxanthin, and things about the carotenoids, data about eating those foods, and also vitamin A and blah, blah, blah. So let's take a dive into what are carotenoids. Carotenoids are a large family of naturally occurring pigments made by plants, algae, and certain microorganisms. They give foods their yellow, orange, and deep green coloration, and they exist in plants primarily to manage light and oxidative stress. Humans cannot make carotenoids. We must obtain them thoroughly from food entirely. That alone tells us something important. They are foundational nutrients, not optional extras. And what's really cool about nature is we have a way of getting these things in regardless of the season, right? So during the summer, you can be getting your citrus fruit and your carrots and things like that. In the winter, you can be eating your sweet potatoes, and you're making nice, beautiful squash soups and things like that, pumpkin, all of those things. You can be getting carotenoids, and you can be getting like the flavonoids. Like in the summer, you get all these berries and things, right? That the lycopenes that are so important in these kinds of things. And there's always a way to get these things regardless of the season. And they're always in foods that are like you wouldn't make a pot of blueberry stew unless you wanted it to be a cold soup, and it would be refreshing in the summer. Whereas you wouldn't really want to eat a big pot of steaming squash and sausage soup in the middle of July. So it's kind of nice that our cuisine tends to reflect a way that we can get the same nutrients we need year round in our diet. Top sources of beta carotene. Beta carotene has powerful antioxidant functions that help the body scavenge free radicals. Rich food sources include dark leafy greens, spinach, kale, collards, bright vegetables, carrots, squash, peppers. I love peppers. Egg yolks, especially bioavailable lutein and zeaxanthin. Egg yolks, again, like when I was talking about choline. We can say, oh, choline is found in all of these vegetables. Guess what? Not very bioavailable. And guess what? Same thing with these eye things. Egg yolks are a more direct, more bioavailable way to obtain them. So if maybe you're not a big vegetable person on a daily basis, I'm not saying you shouldn't strive for that, but eat your eggs every day. Just eat your eggs every day. They cover such a large range of important nutrients for important functions in the body. Certain fruits, corn, kiwi, orange, peppers. Dark green leaves contain high carotenoids, even though the green chlorophyll masks their color. Isn't that like fascinating, right? It's like, this is actually an orange leaf, but there's so much chlorophyll, it's blocking it. It's like when the leaves turn colors in the autumn. It's the same thing. That's the natural color of the leaf. It's just that there was so much chlorophyll in there, you couldn't see the natural color. Very cool. Egg yolks. Here we go with my slide size that drives me nuts. It's always right on my laptop, like for every slide, but I'm not on my laptop. I'm on my big monitor, but whatever. Just go with it. No, I won't. I hate that. Okay. A unique carotenoid delivery system. Egg yolks are one of the most bioavailable dietary sources of the key macular carotenoids, lutein and zeaxanthin. Unlike plant sources, egg yolks naturally package these carotenoids with phospholipids, cholesterol, saturated and monounsaturated fats. This matters because carotenoids are fat soluble. So you have to have fat with your carotenoid, right? So if you're going to rely on your carrots and your squash, put some butter in there or some good olive oil or something, coconut oil. These rich plants in those types of phytonutrients need fat, but the fat is right there in the egg yolk. Diet for sight. The egg yolk is a prime source of lutein and zeaxanthin plus zinc, which helps in reducing the macular degeneration risk. So what happened to people during the years of don't eat eggs, it's bad for you, cholesterol, it's going to ruin your heart? We found that was such a lie. And it's a lie that's still being propagandized by the green movement, right? Where everything's supposed to be get rid of animal foods, get rid of animals, get rid of anything that takes up makes a carbon footprint, and get everything from plants. Baloney. Just don't go for that. Don't become somebody's little project. Mitochondrial membrane support synergy. Mitochondrial and membrane support synergy. Egg yolks provide more than carotenoids. They provide the choline. Did a whole program on that. Support cell membranes and neurotransmission. Phosphatidylcholine stabilizes retinal membranes. Fat-soluble vitamins, which are in the egg yolk, not the white. So don't do like some big health thing. I only eat the whites. Don't. God made the whole egg together. Just take his word for it. That's the best way to do it. Fat-soluble vitamins support antioxidant balance. This creates a synergistic effect. Carotenoids plus fats plus phospholipids equals enhanced retinal protection. Eggs. Clinical takeaway: egg yolks are not simply a source of carotenoids, they are a delivery vehicle. For individuals who struggle to absorb nutrients or eat low-fat diets, have dry eyes or macular concerns, egg yolks often outperform large servings of vegetables alone, I would say. Yes. And I mean, I worked on finishing this up this morning and everything, and I'm like right down to the wire to get my shower and stuff, but I have time to have some breakfast. How long does it take to scramble 2 eggs and wolf them down, right? But I'm not going to stop and deal with carrots and in that amount of time, carrots and squash, and maybe I'll have some red peppers or no. Just give me my eggs and let me get out the door. And I've got my choline, I've got my all these carotenoids, and I have a really good delivery system. I've got the most bioavailable energy, that the only higher source being human breast milk. So get your eggs. Carotenoids most relevant to eye health are, there are hundreds of carotenoids, right? But the 3 that are most clinically relevant for vision include lutein, which concentrates in the macula. The macula, which we saw in the first 2 programs, is that part of the eye, part of the retina that is actually very key for fine detail vision. The dominant carotenoid in the central retina. Zeaxanthin also concentrates in the macula, especially dense in the fovea, where visual acuity is the highest. So you've got the macula, and then the fovea is like even a more concentrated area of the macula, and the zeaxanthin is really good for that. So, definitely recommend supplements, and we'll get into that in a little bit, for supporting eye health beyond saying, am I getting all of the foods, am I getting adequate foods to provide those things, especially if you're struggling with those eye issues already. And then mesozeaxanthin, formed in the retina from lutein and critical for central visual protection. Together, these form the macular pigment. So lutein, let's talk about that a little bit because like we know it's a carotenoid, but accumulates in high concentrations in the macula where it plays a critically protective role. It acts as a natural internal filter, absorbing high energy blue light before it can damage delicate retinal tissue. Unlike sunglasses, which protect the eyes from external light exposure, lutein provides internal photoprotection, helping shield the photoreceptors from cumulative light-induced stresses. So this is something, okay, for instance, you might be wearing blue light blockers, like I am right now. Okay, well and good. That's dealing with the light that's getting to my eyes. Lutein is dealing with that blue light once it's in there, right? So if you're not wearing blue light blockers or as an additional protection. In addition to filtering light, lutein functions as a powerful antioxidant, protecting retinal cell membranes and mitochondria from oxidative damage. Because the macula has extremely high metabolic demand and constant light exposure, lutein helps preserve visual clarity, contrast sensitivity, and long-term macular integrity. So, I mean, that's a simple supplement just to take every day, just to include it. Lutein, why intake matters over time. So the body can't make it. And the levels in the eye depend entirely on consistent dietary intake and absorption. So you have to get it either in your diet on a daily basis, or you've got to take a supplement if you want to make sure you're getting plenty. Modern diets, reduced consumption of leafy greens, and increased screen exposure all contribute to lower macular lutein levels over time. Lower lutein concentration is associated with increased vulnerability to macular degeneration, visual fatigue, glare sensitivity, and reduced contrast perception. Where does lutein come from? The marigold. I mean, it comes from other places too, but that's really cool. Lutein used in supplements is most commonly extracted from marigold flowers. While lutein is present in leafy green vegetables such as kale and spinach, marigold flowers are one of the richest natural sources and allow lutein to be concentrated and standardized for supplemental use. The lutein extracted from marigolds is chemically identical to the lutein found in food. It's not synthetic, and it is valued for the purity, stability, and consistent dosing. So yes, if you're getting a lutein supplement that you're taking in pill form, it is the same exact molecular structure as the lutein that you get from food. Because it's fat soluble, whether it comes from food or marigold extract, its absorption is enhanced when consumed with healthy fats. This plant-based origin makes lutein both biologically appropriate and well tolerated, especially for long-term use in supporting macular and retinal health. Zeaxanthin, I talked a little bit about the fovea when we were talking about the macula a minute ago. Zeaxanthin, that carotenoid, precision protection for central vision, again for the macula. Zeaxanthin is a carotenoid closely related to lutein, but it plays a more focused, high precision role in eye health. While lutein is distributed more broadly across the macula. Yeah, so here you have the macula, right? Here's the fovea, this little part right there. Zeaxanthin concentrates mostly right there, at the very center of the macula, the fovea, the area responsible for the sharpest, most detailed vision. This region experiences the greatest light exposure and metabolic stress, making zeaxanthin especially important for protecting fine visual acuity. Like lutein, the zeaxanthin acts as a blue light filtering antioxidant, but its central localization makes it particularly valuable for preserving clarity, contrast, and detailed vision tasks, such as reading, driving, and recognizing faces. Zeaxanthin, why it matters with age and screen exposure. Zeaxanthin levels in the eye decline with age, surprise, surprise, and are influenced by diet, oxidative stress, and cumulative light exposure, especially blue light from screens and artificial lighting. Lower zeaxanthin levels are associated with increased vulnerability to macular degeneration, right? 1 + 1 = 2. Glare sensitivity and reduced contrast perception. Zeaxanthin works best in partnership with lutein, forming the macular pigment that helps protect retinal damage from light-induced and oxidative damage. Together, they support the eye's natural defense system rather than acting as treatments for disease. Because zeaxanthin is fat-soluble, consistent intake and absorption with healthy fats are important for maintaining adequate levels over time. I'm just going to go to the one bottled pill form eye supplement that I carry right now. I used to love Jarrow's Vision Optimizer, is Life Extension's MacuGuard. And there are many good supplements out there. So I can't stock, I don't want to stock I have a small space here. I'm not going to stock 15 different ones, but you can easily find them elsewhere, online, whatever. But anyway, this one I liked because it has the lutein, the mesozeaxanthin, the zeaxanthin, the phospholipids, the fats to go with it, with some mixed carotenoids, and saffron, which I didn't even go into in this program. Saffron is really important too. Really valuable. So that's the one right now that I'm recommending if people are saying they want something in pill form, and taking myself. Because it's kind of got all of that high stuff in there. It's not terribly expensive. So yeah, we take one soft gel daily. So I think it's mostly recommended one daily. Yeah. So zeaxanthin is found in much smaller amounts in foods than lutein, and its richest sources are more specific. So top natural food sources, egg yolks. I know it seems like the egg industry must be paying me, right? But I'm sorry. They're not. Egg yolks, one of the most bioavailable sources. Fat matrix improves the absorption. Orange and yellow peppers. Corn, especially yellow corn. Again, we're talking yellow sweet corn, right? Not field corn that's GMO. Regular sweet corn that you eat is not the problem corn in this country. And sweet corn has a lot of nice benefits for your health. Goji berries is exceptionally rich, traditionally valued for vision. So a lot of times people like to use goji berry powder and stuff like that in smoothies or whatever. That would be a great way to get some great carotenoids, the zeaxanthin. Orange fruits such as papaya, tangerines, oranges, modest amounts. Secondary sources, lower amounts, spinach and other leafy greens contain some zeaxanthin, but more lutein. Squash and pumpkin, peas. Important food-based insight, egg yolks often outperform vegetables gram for gram in absorption, even if total carotenoid content is lower, because zeaxanthin is fat soluble and already packaged with lipids in the egg yolk. So you're saying, well, wait a minute. It says if I have a cup of this squash or whatever, or leafy green, it has this much zeaxanthin. And if I have an egg yolk, it only has this much, but it's but how much can you use, right? So it's all about the absorption when it comes to that. The core biological needs of the eyes. Everything else plugs into these needs. That right there is mitochondrial. Right there. Isn't that clever? I thought that was such a cool graphic. That's one of my favorite things about putting these together, is finding the graphics. It's I don't know, it's like music. It's like listening to music to me, or burning incense or something. It's just so fun to find the right image. Anyway, that's a little aside. So number 1, cellular and mitochondrial energy, why it matters. Retina is one of the highest ATP demand tissues in the body. So again, we have to take in our nutrients and our fatty acids. The body takes that energy and those nutrients and creates ATP, adenosine triphosphate, cellular energy at the most basic biological form in our bodies, mitochondrial energy. Mitochondrial energy, again, is associated high mitochondrial energy with health, vibrant health, and youth. We start to make less mitochondrial energy around age 30. Why? Because the mitochondria become fewer in the cell, less efficient, and larger, fewer, less efficient, sloppy. They're just not generating the energy like they should. And so maintaining mitochondrial, the youthfulness of the mitochondrial energy in the body is like a cornerstone of anti-aging across the board, but really important for the eyes here. The photoreceptors, remember the cones and the rods that I showed you? Those were so cool looking in the retina. The colorful ones for the color, and then the and then the regular rods for the dim light. Key nutrients, CoQ10, pyrrolinolone quinone. I love the two together because CoQ10 recycles mitochondrial energy while PQQ helps us create more mitochondria. L-carnitine, there's a lot of mitochondrial boosting nutrients, but these are some key ones. L-carnitine takes care of that. Remember I said you got to take your fatty acids and move them into the mitochondria where energy is generated. Well, the L-carnitine helps make that transfer into the mitochondria. Lipoic acid. I like our lipoic acid. We're used to hearing about alpha lipoic acid. Alpha lipoic acid is great, but it has less of bioavailability than the R lipoic acid. So you have to take about half the dose if you take R lipoic acid as opposed to alpha lipoic acid. B vitamins, especially B1, B2, B3. So degeneration is often a problem of energy in the body to the structures that need before it becomes a structural one. So you've got an energy need by the retina that over time can't be met. And so what happens? The health of the retina is degraded, declines. But the mitochondrial energy deficit was behind it. So CoQ10, again, is fat-soluble, vitamin-like compound found in every cell of the body. We make it in the liver. That's the problem with the statin drugs is they turn off our making, what we call endogenous, that we make it ourselves, coenzyme Q10. Where if you want to be on a statin or whatever, you can overcome that by making sure you take coenzyme Q10 along with it. It functions as a key electron carrier in the mitochondrial electron transport chain, allowing cells to efficiently generate adenosine triphosphate, ATP. In addition to its energy role, CoQ10 is a powerful mitochondrial antioxidant, protecting it from free radical damage, especially the energy-intensive tissues like the retina and the optic nerve from oxidative damage. CoQ10 levels naturally decline with age and are further depleted by certain medications like the statin drugs and metabolic stress, such as problems like diabetes, prediabetes, metabolic syndrome, making replenishment especially important for long-term cellular and visual health. PQQ, pyrrolinolone quinone. Pyrroloquinone quinone. Another quinone that you would be familiar with is aloe, right? The quinones. There are other plants that are quinones, and their quinones are very anti-cancer. That's how I'm familiar with them, using them, emodins, rain, and the quinones are like a lot of chemotherapy drugs, okay, have quinone-like activity. So that's a subject for another day. PQQ is a naturally occurring compound found in small amounts in foods such as fermented foods, green tea. Boy, I'm getting plenty of that. I drink so much green tea and other tea, but yeah. This is one of those happiness mugs. Are you guys familiar with that? It's sitting on a charger. It keeps your beverage hot for so long. It's like computerized. So anyway, I won't I have a lot to cover, so I won't get off on that. Maybe talk about that another time. But anyway, okay. And certain vegetables. It plays a unique role in mitochondrial health by helping stimulate the creation of new mitochondria, mitochondrial biogenesis, and by protecting existing mitochondria from oxidative damage. So great for the brain, right? The combination, like I take a combo supplement by Life Extension that's CoQ10 in a biquinol form, which is very bioavailable, 100 milligrams a day only, with 20 milligrams of PQQ. And that's like a great, I'm 67. I got to be doing stuff for my mitochondria, right? Way past 30. So that's one that I like for myself. Unlike nutrients that simply support energy, like CoQ10, PQQ helps preserve the quality and resilience of the cell's energy-producing machinery. In high-energy tissues like the retina and the optic nerve, this makes PQQ particularly valuable for maintaining long-term cellular function and protecting against age-related decline. So another one of those things that we can just do on a regular basis, on a daily basis, make sure I've dotted that I. I dotted that I. I didn't even plan that. Lipoic acid. Lipoic acid is naturally occurring compound that functions as both a mitochondrial cofactor and a powerful antioxidant. It is uniquely able to work in both water and fat-based environments, allowing it to protect a wide range of cellular structures, including the mitochondrial membranes. Again, it's doing tons of other stuff in your body too. In the eyes, lipoic acid supports energy production while also helping regenerate other antioxidants, such as glutathione, vitamin C, and vitamin E. That's really cool, because if you take lipoic acid, you get double duty out of those other things because it recycles them, right? Rather than using them once and throwing them away, you get a reuse of your vitamin C, your vitamin E, and your glutathione. And this antioxidant recycling role is especially important in retinal tissue, which is continuously exposed to light-induced oxidative stress and has a high metabolic demands. So again, oxidative stress, free radicals, we get them from poor things in our diets like rancid oils, seed oils, and things like that. We get them from the fumes we're breathing and from the too much light in our eyes. And also these free radicals, which cause damage, they steal electrons from the electron transport chain, and the antioxidants donate those back, protecting us. And so we're about to move into a whole section on antioxidants. So I guess I should just do that. Okay. L-carnitine, very good for the mitochondria and very good for the mitochondria. Excuse me. Excuse me. When it comes to the eyes. L-carnitine is a naturally occurring compound that plays a critical role in mitochondrial energy metabolism by transporting long-chain fatty acids into the mitochondria where they are used to generate ATP. This function is especially relevant for the eyes, as retinal cells rely heavily on fatty acid metabolism to meet their high energy demands. Do you see again where the low-fat craze did us no low-fat, low cholesterol, no eggs, all that ridiculous nonsense got a lot of people who thought in many cases they were doing themselves, they were depriving themselves of things they wanted and liked for their health. By supporting, and where does L-carnitine come from? Carne, it's meat. L-carnitine is your source in the diet of L-carnitine. Anyway, this function is especially relevant for the eyes, as retinal cells rely heavily on fatty acid metabolism to meet their high energy demands. By supporting efficient fuel delivery into mitochondria, L-carnitine helps sustain cellular energy production, protect against metabolic stress, and support the long-term function of energy-intensive tissues such as the retina and the optic nerve. L-carnitine, fat molecules, L-carnitine takes them and moves them in to the mitochondria. Riboflavin, vitamin B2, is essential B vitamin required for mitochondrial energy production and cellular antioxidant defense. It serves as a key cofactor for enzymes involved in the electron transport chain, allowing cells to efficiently convert nutrients into usable energy, ATP. In the eyes, riboflavin supports the high energy demands of retinal tissue while also contributing to glutathione recycling, helping protect photoreceptors, the cones and the rods, and lens proteins from oxidative stress, damage from free radicals. Adequate riboflavin is therefore important for maintaining both energy balance and antioxidant protection in vision critical tissues. And, I would say about that, riboflavin is the one that makes your pee bright yellow when you're taking your vitamins, as you should. If you're taking your multivitamin, like if I take my Thorne Basic Nutrients, it's going to be bright yellow. But I also take an additional 400 milligrams of riboflavin B2 every day. So my pee is really neon yellow. And I do that for its mitochondrial energy properties, boosting properties. Oxidative stress in the eyes, again, free radical damage. Free radical damage, that oxidative stress refers to an imbalance between the production of reactive oxygen species and the body's ability to neutralize them with antioxidants. And the eyes are particularly vulnerable to this process. Ocular tissues are constantly exposed to light, high oxygen levels, and intense metabolic activity, all of which generate oxidative byproducts. You need some oxidative free radical production for a healthy functioning of the body, but you have to balance it, and you have to, balance it and keep it all very in that healthy balance. Structures such as the retina, the macula, and the lens rely on tightly organized proteins, lipids, and mitochondria to function properly, and oxidative damage can disrupt these systems over time. When antioxidant defenses are insufficient, this damage contributes to conditions such as cataracts, macular degeneration, and to progressive retinal stress by impairing cellular energy production, damaging membranes, and altering protein structure. Supporting antioxidant capacity is therefore not about eliminating oxidation, which is a normal part of metabolism, but about maintaining balance so that light exposure and metabolic demand do not gradually overwhelm the eye's ability to protect itself. Now, again, all those antioxidants, and we're going to be talking about that now. Oxidative stress and eye diseases. Okay, so yeah, the free radicals can damage these very important structures. And here we have the rods and the cones. Retina in a healthy mitochondria, damaged mitochondria, lipofuscin granules, and then there's the bipolar cells, cones, rods, blah, 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 blah. So you can see that my whole point with that slide is like the mitochondria are really important for the eyes. Antioxidants to the rescue, preserving visual tissues under constant oxidative pressure. There we go. Glutathione is the body's primary intracellular antioxidant and a critical protector of mitochondrial function. It neutralizes reactive oxygen species, supports detoxification, and helps maintain the structural integrity of cells under high metabolic stress. In the eyes, glutathione is essential for protecting photoreceptors, retinal cells, and lens proteins from light-induced oxidative damage. Retinal tissue is highly oxygenated, rich in polyunsaturated fats, and constantly exposed to light, making adequate glutathione levels vital for preserving cellular energy production and preventing degenerative changes. Beyond direct antioxidant action, glutathione also supports mitochondrial efficiency by maintaining a healthy redox balance. That's the balance between the free radical activity that's necessary and too much, allowing energy production to continue without excessive oxidative injury. So adequate levels of glutathione keep free radicals at bay, protecting the lens against oxidative stress. It also allows healthy levels of vitamin C to be maintained, reinforcing the antioxidant defense of the lens. Minimum healthy glutathione concentration. Inadequate levels of glutathione allow free radicals to build up, leading to oxidative stress and opacification of the lens, cataracts. It also contributes to a decline in ascorbic acid levels, exacerbating oxidative stress. So what's really cool is that, I mean, I'm taking glutathione and have been for years for my overall health because it is the miracle molecule. It's anti-cancer, it's anti-Alzheimer's, it's anti blah, 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 blah. It's also great for the eyes. So again, just like I said, if you're doing these things, you've been doing them, you've been protecting your eyes, even though you might not have been consciously doing it for that reason. Melatonin. Melatonin, best known as a sleep hormone, but is also one of the body's most important mitochondrial antioxidants. Unlike many antioxidants, melatonin is produced within cells and concentrates inside the mitochondria, where it directly protects the machinery responsible for energy production. In the eyes, melatonin plays a key role in protecting oxidative stress, protecting retinal cells and photoreceptors from light-induced oxidative stress, It helps stabilize mitochondrial membranes, reduce free radical damage, and support normal circadian signaling within retinal tissue, which is essential for visual processing and long-term eye health. Melatonin levels naturally decline with age and are further suppressed by excessive light exposure at night, making its protective role increasingly important over time, and melatonin recycles glutathione. So melatonin and glutathione are your melatonin, glutathione, superoxide dismutase, catalase. These are the top endogenous, meaning we make them ourselves, antioxidants, but we make less of them over time. And so we can use like the S-acetyl L form of glutathione is very bioavailable, very long lasting in the body. We can use high dose melatonin or any dose melatonin, but use it regularly. Don't feel like you're cheating or I shouldn't have to rely on that to go to sleep. That's not why I take melatonin. Melatonin is health. And people make, as they age, less glutathione, less melatonin, and that's why they're not as healthy. So it all makes sense. The antioxidant hierarchy for eye health. At the center are the master defenders, glutathione. Primary intracellular antioxidant, protects mitochondria, blah, 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 blah. Melatonin, okay? Those are your top in the tier. And then supporting antioxidants, protective network, the lutein, the zeaxanthin, the vitamin C, vitamin E, polyphenols, like from all of the plant carotenoids. That's what we're talking about, the carotenoids, the zeaxanthin, the lutein, all of that. And then antioxidant recyclers, such as lipoic acid and riboflavin. So you have an elegant antioxidant synergy. Antioxidant protection in the eyes is not about taking one antioxidant. It's about maintaining a functional system. All of those things, glutathione and melatonin sitting at the core of the system, preserving mitochondrial energy production and protecting vision critical tissue from cumulative damage, supported by all of these other wonderful antioxidants and working beautifully. And I would expect if you have not been taking nutrients such as this and you get those into your core daily program, I'll bet you if you're suffering from eye problems, you will see improvement. Not just slowing things down, but improvement. So now glycation in the eyes is, again, I've talked about this a lot. And other things, glycation, when sugar damage accelerates ocular aging. Glycation, the sugar roasting, the tissues of the eyes. Glycation is a biochemical process in which glucose and other sugars bind to proteins, lipids, and such structural tissues, forming damaging compounds known as advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. I think that's like so appropriate. Ages, right? The eyes are especially vulnerable to glycation because they contain long-lived proteins that are not easily replaced, particularly in the lens, retina, and vascular structures supplying the eye. This is why diabetics have diabetic retinopathy, why they have, same thing in the kidneys and in the nerves. It's the same sort of structures that are getting this caramelized, if you will, caramelized by the high levels of sugar coursing through the bloodstream. Unlike many tissues in the body, the lens must remain clear and structurally precise for decades, and glycation causes lens proteins to stiffen, discolor and lose transparency, a major contributor to cataract formation. In the retina, it's supporting blood vessels, Glycation damages membranes, impairs circulation, increases oxidative stress, and disrupts mitochondrial energy production, accelerating degenerative conditions such as diabetic retinopathy and macular degeneration. Importantly, glycation can occur even in people without diagnosed diabetes. Yes, it's just happening to everybody, like free radical damage. Blood sugar swings, insulin resistance, high refined carbohydrate intake, cumulative metabolic stress over time. That's what happens with the glycation. Caramelization damages lens proteins. You just don't want it. Burnt toast is an exact picture of glycation. While excess dietary sugar and blood glucose spikes are major drivers of glycation, they're not the only sources. Glycation can also be accelerated by our environmental exposures and lifestyle factors that increase oxidative stress, inflammation, and reactive carbonyl compounds in the body, such as too much UV radiation, alcohol consumption. This person's soaking up the sun and drinking booze at the same time. Not a good idea. Charred, grilled, or highly browned foods, smoking and secondhand smoke, chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, poor detoxification, and liver overload. Anti-glycation, this is why I take benfotiamine twice a day, 300 milligrams. Benfotiamine is fantastic for stopping the binding of sugar to protein. It is really important. This has been shown to reverse diabetic neuropathy. So that's a fat-soluble form of vitamin B1, and it works very well. There are other nutrients that do this too. I just make sure I get my benfotiamine. Benfotiamine, luteolin, P5P, which is bioavailable form of vitamin B6, and carnosine, block glycation. PQQ, lipoic acid, and taurine help those tissues to the mitochondria to resist glycation damage. So it all kind of goes together. If you go to the PDF when it's available and want to read that page, that was a life extension page, how glycation accelerates aging, and it goes into those different nutrients there as well. Benfotiamine, again, excellent protection. Not expensive. That's why that penny is sitting there. It's just not expensive. P5P. Luteolin is another flavonoid found abundantly in many plants. Since one of the main consequences of glycation is inflammation. Luteolin's anti-inflammatory properties make it an ideal natural complement to benfotiamine and P5P. Inflammation is widely recognized for its association with cancer, atherosclerosis, and virtually all other chronic diseases. Luteolin works by suppressing the activation of the master inflammatory complex called NF-kappa beta, which triggers the production of a wide variety of pro-inflammatory signaling molecules or cytokines. Anti-inflammatory actions of luteolin have been demonstrated in tissues throughout the body, including the brain, blood vessel lining, skin, intestines, lungs, gums, and bones. Other anti-glycation, you can see those there. Those we've gone through. Collagen in the eyes, structural integrity matters. Collagen is the primary structural protein throughout the eye, providing strength, flexibility, and permeability to multiple ocular tissues. That's why it's so helpful. The MSM, the organic structure, the organic sulfur normalizes collagen structure in the eye. So you're just bathing your eyes with MSM is really lovely thing to do. Also taking it internally, but bathing the eyes with it as well. Healthy collagen helps maintain the shape of the eye, supports normal fluid dynamics, like lowering intraocular pressure in glaucoma, preventing or easing dry eye, because the fluids are able to, and stopping cataracts because the eyes can breathe because the collagen structure isn't all jumbled up. It's normal, the shape of the eye is normal, and the toxins can secrete easier. The eyes are able to breathe better when the collagen structure is normalized. Collagen plays a critical role, the vitreous humor, the sclera, the cornea, the trabecular meshwork, and retinal and choroidal support tissues. What damages ocular collagen over time? Glycation, oxidative stress, UV exposure, chronic inflammation, nutrient insufficiency. You're getting older. I mean, that's where wrinkles come from. The collagen breaks down. Supporting collagen in the eyes, focusing on providing raw materials, protecting existing structure, and reducing ongoing damage. Glycine, MSM, vitamin C, copper, balanced with zinc. Antioxidants and anti-glycation support. Collagen supplement is hard to get to the eyes directly. So you're better off for your eyes using those precursors. Glycine, MSM, vitamin C, that kind of thing. Circulation and microvascular support to the eyes. You've got to get the nutrients in. You've got to get the waste out. I mean, the toxins out. Circulation, feeding the most demanding tissues. When circulation becomes a limiting factor, aging, diabetes, hypertension, vascular endothelial, poor circulation contributes to retinal hypoxia, lack of oxygen to the retina, increased oxidative stress, slower repair and waste removal, progression of conditions such as macular degeneration and diabetic eye disease. And then supporting microcirculation, getting oxygen and nutrients to the retina. So key things here: magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, adequate hydration, retinal microvessels must remain strong, flexible, and resilient to deliver oxygen efficiently over time. So bioflavonoids and polyphenols coming in all those lovely vegetables and things we talked about, the carotenoids and all of that, vitamin C, collagen, anti-glycation. Vitamin C is a huge collagen support too. And there are other things like L-proline and whatever, but microcirculation fades quietly. Supporting it early helps preserve vision longer. Right. The sooner you get on a overall program of health protection, the much better aging process you will have later on. So think about things in your 30s, what you want to do for nutrients and supplements and diet and all that kind of stuff, and you'll be well ahead of the game. Membrane and lipid integrity. So the fats. Why membranes matter in vision. Vision depends on rapid, precise signaling between photoreceptors, neurons, and supporting cells. These signals occur across lipid-rich cell membranes, making membrane integrity essential for normal visual processing. Photoreceptors, especially the rods and cones, rely on, I love that, rods and cones, rely on healthy membranes to transmit light signals, maintain structural stability, respond quickly to changing visual input. Damage to membranes impairs function even when cells are still alive. Dry eye is a vicious cycle. Oxidative stress, inflammation, poor fat intake, and aging cause membranes to become rigid or fragile, disrupting signaling and resilience. Anti-inflammatory and immune modulation, calming inflammation, protecting delicate tissue. So you can oftentimes in autoimmune illnesses, you can find problems with the eyes because of the inflammation that results. When inflammation drives eye damage, anti-inflammatory and immune-driven processes play a role in macular degeneration, uveitis, iritis, diabetic eye disease, autoimmune-related ocular conditions, dry eye and surface irritation. Supporting immune balance preserves ocular immune privilege, reduces unnecessary inflammatory signaling, and protects neural and vascular tissues over time. Herbs that support eye health. So I kind of featured all of the plants that are in my Wondrous site formula here, which is actually a lovely formula just as a tonic, herbal tonic for wellness, because all of these help the brain, all of these help your circulation, they help the eyes. So like I was saying, there are certain formulas that are just pertinent to a lot of different things, like the whole principle we were talking about here. And then I go through, we're running out of time, or we've run out of time. So I won't go into each one, but when this is up and available, you can do that. Bilberry, acai, kind of give you just a little overview of what the different plant botanicals do for the eyes. Green tea, calendula, very related to the marigold, from which we get lutein. And then eyebright herb. Now, think of the doctrine of signatures, where plants tend to take on some sort of physical or some sort of a characteristic that reflects what they do. Don't those look like eyelashes? Eyebright is wonderful for the eyes. Parsley leaf, ginkgo really helps with the microvascular part of it. In fact, I'm adding this more recently to that formula because I didn't have that in there. And that's really an important addition to make sure that we're getting, because ginkgo biloba is very well utilized in the eyes for microcirculation. So I just barely added that to the formula. Topical application of nutrients. So a lot of you are familiar with my eye drops. So MSM talks about how MSM, again, the organic sulfur. And you can go and look at that again in my PDF when it's up, and I'll send out an announcement, as I always do. Sea buckthorn berry oil, we make a variety with that. Magnesium, we have 4 different varieties. So you don't have to use things that you don't want, but magnesium applied to the eye, huge here. Knocking down these inflammatory things, glutamate, NMDA, calcium influx, nitric oxide synthase 2, and then upregulating your adenosine triphosphate, mitochondrial energy, your nitric oxide synthase 3, which is good, glutathione, superoxide dismutase, maintaining the sodium and potassium plus ATPase. This is huge. This is kind of like just magnesium to the eyes, brings down the inflammation and ups the anti-inflammatory, antioxidant activity in the eye. So it's huge. Seeing the bigger picture, when we understand the mechanisms that support and degrade eye health, energy production, circulation, inflammation, oxidative stress, glycation, membrane integrity, we realize that vision loss is rarely random or inevitable. The eyes respond to the same biological forces that shape our overall health. With this knowledge and with the right tools in hand, we have far more influence over our visual future than we are often led to believe. Supporting the eyes becomes an extension of supporting the whole person metabolically, neurologically, and structurally for life. Thanks for hanging with me. I went like almost 10 minutes over. That was a lot of slides but I had to do it, and I had to finish the eyes today because we have the ears next week. So stop my share so that I can say goodbye decently. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I hope you've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about the eyes working on this piece. And I just really enjoy doing this and sharing. Next week, we're going to go on to the ears. So I got to start out with the structure and the anatomy and the function of the ear. So get out your notebooks and put on your hearing aids because we're going to start diving into that. Thanks, Debbie. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm going to say goodbye and let you go. And I'll see you next week.